I think this is despicable. I visited the Shelley Pingree campaign website and saw this big press release splashed on the landing page, and it's about an amazing accomplishment that we're supposed to think is going to help lobstermen. If you've been following this channel for any amount of time, I think it will become very obvious very quickly why this is the exact opposite of helpful. But the way that Shelley Pingree is advertising it, you're supposed to think it's some great gift she's giving to lobstermen. And so I will quote it from Washington, November 4th, 2022. U.S. Senators Susan Collins and Angus King and Representative Shelley Pingree announced today that two Maine organizations will be receiving a total of $1.2 million from NOAA's Sea Grant American Lobster Initiative to support the health of Maine's lobster industry and help lobstermen adapt to any potential regulatory changes. The funding will be used by the Maine Department of Marine Resources to research new, innovative gear technology and by the Gulf of Maine Lobster Foundation to improve information and communications systems for lobstermen. These grants come after the Maine delegation included language in the 2022 appropriations package that required Sea Grant to utilize this funding to support gear modernization. Where do you even begin with this? Instead of investing in things that will help lobstermen, Susan Collins, Angus King, and Shelley Pingree lobbied to advance projects that are designed to hurt Maine lobstermen, and they have the unmitigated gall to promote themselves with that. If you haven't watched the second part of Futures at Stake yet, in that video you see dozens of Mainers speak about protecting their fishery, and the crowd of fishing families cheers almost all of them, but 3 people in that event get booed. Governor Mills, for reasons we've covered before.
Right now, this hearing almost didn't happen, okay?
And 2 guys who were lobbying to try and get government contracts to manufacture expensive so-called ropeless solutions.
This is a Maine-based company that's working on a fisherman-centric Maine-based solution should it comes to that. Our recovery rate is excellent. We use an airbag system. We use near 100%. Yeah. 70%. Yeah. It's not, yes, it's not 70%.
$150 traps, we're going to lose all time.
I understand. I understand your concerns. Yeah, we've done our deployment from Canada and the U.S. and NOAA is nearly 100%. Okay, it's an airbag system. It will come to the surface. It has hundreds of pounds of buoyancy. I can answer those questions, but I'm directing my comments to NOAA, and that is please consider real-time gear location on the seafloor and not GPS marking. Thank you.
The plan does include outfitting lobster boats with what I would call a powered grapple or a small underwater drone, programmed to retrieve a trawl outfitted with a small acoustic beacon. What's in the water doesn't have any mechanical components. Don't laugh at me, please. I'll talk to you endlessly about it later. Don't worry, I talk forever if you let me go. Okay, hold on, guys. Come on, please. I accept listening to all of you. It does eventually include the option to be paid. Yeah, I do. This plan envisions rapid and well-funded ocean system development, the likes the fishing industry has never seen. The likes of which have been reserved to the Department of Defense, and if we band together and we work together, we can solve the problem.
99% of fishermen refuse to involve themselves with testing of ropeless gear for the very reason that they know that anything that they do to lend a hand to that, to prop that leech-like industry up, will be a death knell for their own industry, for their own livelihood. They know that they cannot, that it literally will not be possible to make a living if this ropeless garbage is mandated. And that is pretty much the universal view of everyone in this industry. The two ropeless salesmen at the NOAA scoping session did not get one single clap of support from Mainers, but Maine's federal delegation just offered to give $750,000 to advance their worthless garbage business venture that will put fishing families out of business if it succeeds, and we're supposed to thank them for that. It just blows my mind. This is their big show of support for their constituents, the lobster industry, is they're gonna allocate from NOAA over $700,000 for what? I mean, at least they could throw it towards one of the legal defense funds or something. No, they're giving over $700,000 towards the advancement of the hopeless, ropeless cronies. And instead of tracking whales, which lobstermen have been asking for years, $400,000 gets allocated to increase surveillance on lobstermen. Very nice. I'm at a loss of words for how harmful and how offensive this betrayal is. Republican Susan Collins, Democrat Shelley Pingree, and Independent Angus King have betrayed their constituents. They are supporting the small but powerful minority that wants to devastate the lobster industry. And they have the audacity to advertise that getting NOAA to give over $1 million towards destroying the lobster industry is some special service they are doing. Like when George W. Bush in 2008 said that he had to destroy the free market in order to save the free market. I guess these three weasels believe that they have to destroy the lobster industry in order to save the lobster industry. A more honest headline for their press release would be, Maine's federal delegation just peed on your back and then told you it's raining. I'm disgusted and I'm furious at Pingree, Collins, and King. All three of them. I'm highlighting Pingree because she's up for an election right now. I wish they were all on the ballot this year so that they could all be booted out. They are worse than worthless. They're selling the state out and then telling you how good it is that they're selling the state out. They're hoping you'll be dumb enough to see the number $1.2 million and the phrase, they stand with Maine lobstermen, and that you won't actually look into the details. This is $1.2 million invested against the preservation of the lobster industry. With representation like these three, who needs Max Strahan? I mean, hey, maybe his Commerce Corporation Limited, whatever the heck it's called, will get some of this money. I mean, maybe it will. He says he's invented fishing line that won't entangle whales or sea turtles, so I want to know how much Mad Max is getting out of this deal for this research. This is just garbage. I don't know what else to say about it other than that. I will say that Shelley Pingree's challenger, Ed Thielander, demonstrated today that he actually understands why this is a terrible move and why it's a move that will hurt lobstermen. I know that as a well-funded incumbent, Pingree has some advantages, and she's been in office since lobster traps were made of wood, but if you care anything for Maine lobstermen and you were voting in District 1, man, you've got to boot her out on Tuesday. Pingree is a disaster. Really, all three of these people are disasters. Every one of them. Pingree, Collins, and King. But you can teach Pingree a lesson and replace her with Thielander on Tuesday. And I will just close with this video I stole from Ed's YouTube channel. Have a good night.
Hi, I'm Ed Thielander, retired Navy SEAL, running for U.S. Congress here in Maine District 1 against Shelley Pingree. I have 21 years in the Navy, all of it in the SEAL teams. I'm a volunteer firefighter, a reserve deputy sheriff. I've never wanted to run for office before. I was asked to run by the Maine GOP. They said I could win. I did say no. My wife said, yes, you will. So I'll serve one more time. Liliana's from Venezuela, and she does not want that happening here. And it is. It's happening here faster than it happened there. We need to make change right now in America, and in order to do that, we need to make some change down in D.C. Please take a look at us, help out, and spread the word.